Hey guys, Alex Williamson here. I know people are going to trickle in. I'm a little bit late. Sorry about that. I just hopped out of the shower. I got some filter water from my tanks on my hands and had to shower that lovely earthy smell off all over my hands. So, today, what's up, Jess? How's it going? So, today I wanted to talk about unlikely friends, or at least stalemates inside of your tank. What is possible? What kind of fish, shrimp, snails, so on and so forth. What's up, Betsy? How's it going? Betsy Cummings the wrench. That's wrench, not with a W. Well, never mind. In any case, she's a mod now, so I'm glad we have that fixed. All right, people are trickling in now. Insight One, fish keeping. Elena M, Fishy Snowman, Blake's Aquatics. What's up, everybody? So come on in. I will be answering questions in this talk, just like I always do on these. So feel free to ask a question, and if I can help you out with the answer, great, that'll work. And then if you don't have any questions, just come along for the ride. So that's kind of how this goes usually. And today, as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about unlikely bedfellows or fellows. So I want you to take a look in this tank. Sorry, it looks kind of yellow right now because of how green it is and the auto color balance on this camera. But I think you can see. Can you guys see that there is a puffer in the tank? Not just one puffer in this tank, but there are actually 6. There's another puffer back there. There's another puffer here. This is the one. He's got black and white spot, or black and yellow spots. I really like him. Elena, do you have puffers with other fish? So this tank shouldn't work by what all the things online tell you. So what all do I have going on in here? I've got 8 of the orange-eyed lemon tetras. We've got about 4 or 5 left of either black neon tetras. I don't know how many. I think I sold most of those off. Or these silver tip tetras where you see the yellow with the silver tip versus the orange eyes. Now the orange eyes are rather nippy in their own tank, or in their own right, but even when they're alone, like they nip at each other in the tank no matter what. But they're interested in breeding. And so what's key about keeping weird combinations of fish is knowing the fish and knowing their habits and natural requirements. So, all right. So someone here is saying, I have a 20-gallon at the moment. Too small for full-grown puffers, but they will be upgrading soon. Are those pea puffers? Because 7 pea puffers will be fine in a 20-gallon, honestly. I think they'll be just fine. My puffers, so in here, let me just say, hey, Bob Kaler, what's up, my friend? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so spotted pea puffers, I think they'll be just fine in a 20 long. 7 of them. I think you could even add more. Honestly, don't, but just saying. So what else do we have in here? We've got guppies, some of which have actually long lyre tails that are kind of flauncy and pretty and look like fishing lures. And then, let's see here. So you said search full-grown pea puffer, huh? I don't believe I've searched that. Oh, spotted. Got it. Well, these guys are fully grown. They are about 1 inch to 2 inches fully grown, something like that. Most of them are 1.5 inches. But there's 6 of them. They're the pea puffers. And maybe something is labeled differently where you are. Maybe you have Amazonian puffers that they're calling pea puffers or something. So I'm curious about that. The spotteds get up to 6 inches. Oh, okay. So that's not a type of pea puffer. That's got to be spotted puffer. Okay. Different story. In any case, we're talking pea puffers. They are inexpensive and a lot of people want them. Put them in a tank and all of a sudden, boom, they've got problems. The pea puffers are ripping at the fins of other fish and other fish are fighting the pea puffers. So what's the answer? Well, in this case, the answer has been I have a lot of fish going on, and the fish that are peaceful, Oddball Aquatics, hello and welcome. So the fish that are peaceful, they tend to be middle to top dwelling fish. So I throw in that category the smaller Danios, the endlers, and the guppies. These are mostly all just males if I did my job correctly in this tank. Just kind of a selection from all my tanks of them. And then some of the tetras, like the neon tetras here, or the ember tetras, they all kind of hang out mid-water to top water frequently. But look at this. We've got a pea puffer and an orange-eyed lemon tetra, and they're just kind of chilling in the same water. Now, usually that is not how that works. So they will swipe food from one another, and sometimes the pea puffers will gather into a little biker gang of sorts. But honestly, the worst creature in this tank for being abusive is this guy, or gal, actually. If you can keep your eye on her. She is the spotted leopard Danio, full grown, 3 inches long, and a big old belly full of eggs, but she never seems to spawn in here, even though she's got some male companions. But she's beautiful. She's got bronze on her and things like that, with the spots and the swirls that I think are really cool. And that's why I got her when she was young. She's kind of got this like bronze to silver, so it's kind of a big jump rather than like gold and bronze. And some of these combinations were accidents. Others have been just dialing in the tank. But let me give you, if you tuned in quickly and you're like, I don't want to hear about all the things in this guy's one tank, that's one situation, and that's totally true. What works for me totally may not work for you. But in general, what are the things that help your fish stay at peace, stop them from battling one another? Because I've had tanks where the fish literally might as well be at war. They're just always fighting, always ripping fins. And for me, I always want my tanks to be, 1, producing plants, and 2, to be producing at least 1 breeding animal. Sorry about the zoom here. It's acting up really crazy. So what do we have in here right now that's growing out? Well, we've got long tail super red plecos. We've got green dragon long tail plecos. And when we get the 20-gallon stand refurbished, I'll put the 29 and the 40 on it. I'm going to plant very heavily and grow up some pond scum snails and let some pea puffers. Yeah. So, Betsy, I feel you. These guys eat a lot of snails, as you can see. There's a lot of snail debris. I know that's really washed out because of how bright these lights are. I can't dim them, though. And so they actually reflect green onto everything. But, like, the ember tetras, I feel slightly bad for. They've been kind of pushed into their own corner a little bit. But the other crazy fish that you wouldn't believe is in here, or fishes, I should say, are a 5-inch or so, like a massive male Crebensis poulcher. And him and his 2 wives, he has 2 female friends in there, they live back in this rock work. So my advice that's outside of just this, yes, Elena, that definitely is true. Having more than one type of fish diffuses aggression. That and having whatever your aggressive fish is, if you have more than one of that fish, look up what they hang out in the wild and try to mimic that. Now, like obviously corridoras, they're not going to be a problem. But if you look up what they do in the wild, it's like groups of thousands. So just look around online and find out what people say works, and that may be, 5 or 6 may be enough to constitute a group. So you can see there's some algae here that I just scraped off this stick, and I was trying to get my Siamese algae eater to come out and play with us. Another side note here, I have this Danielle. If anybody can tell me what this Danielle is, it's not a mustache Danielle. I know it's hard to see. I'll hold my camera still and just see if we can get a shot of it. But it's got some purple and it's growing quickly. It's very fast fish. It's faster than the leopard Danios. It's not a giant Danielle. And the store by my house, Aquarium Zen, which I frequent and enjoy, gave me this Danielle, not knowing exactly what the species was. Yeah, it's not a pearl either. We're trying to figure out what in the heck it could be. It's got purplish, like back fins, and then it's getting some spots and some. I'll post some pictures probably on the Facebook group, but it's got interesting chain patterns. So I think it might be an Indian subspecies of chain Danielle. But yes, so let's talk about how to in general, not in my tank, how to decrease the tension. First of all, keep your fish fed. Seems like a no-brainer, right? But a lot of people feed their fish, they throw their flake food up top, and they think that it's good. That's not how it works. You need to have some food that sinks, some food that floats, some food that's plant-based, others that are meat-based, live food if you can. Different selections of food tailored for the fish you have. My puffers love bloodworms. They will eat those over anything else any day of the week. But you can see here, they're hanging out with guppies with flouncy tails that are reflective, and they don't seem to really fight physically. Once in a while, they'll charge one another, but that's it. And one of those things is because they're full, or at least they have access to food when they want it. For the puffers, the access to the food is more snails. So even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of snails, and most of the snails have been eaten, I always throw some snails in just to keep the numbers so that there's a snack if they're getting grumpy. Secondly, foliage. That is what you need a lot of. And you don't necessarily need plants. For pea puffers in general, yeah, plants are great. They're going to love plants. But you really just need something to break up the line of sight and also to give them a space so that they feel like they're safe. Like they have a spot they can run back to if they're having issues. Because a lot of aggression isn't necessarily just flat out aggression for the sake of being mean. It's because they feel cornered in their little territory. And these puffers, they've claimed back under here as their territory. But that being said, they come out all throughout the tank all day long. Especially in the early evening. So that's why I'm doing this right now. Let me look at the comments real quick and make sure I'm doing okay. Yeah, so breaking up that line of sight, that's going to help aggression when you mix weird combos of fish. And believe it or not, sometimes a dither fish, or what we call in the hobby a dither, means like a fish that breaks up aggression a little bit, or maybe it makes a shy fish come out more, or a violent fish less violent. So there's several ways that can work. Some fish, for instance, don't breed unless there's other fish around. Like plecos like to know that there's fish high up in the water. So plecos will breed better if you have some dither fish of any sort, and same with corridoras, because when they have a tank like this, they want to see shadows of little fish above them. And if there's none, they assume that maybe there's a predatory fish around. And so that's when you get the plecos that are hiding under things even more than they naturally do. So that's just another little tip with bottom feeders, is to have something above them in the small category, and give it a shot. Get something cheap and expensive that you wouldn't be too heartbroken about. If it got eaten, maybe some endlers or something small, neon tetras, and give that a shot. The other thing is, sometimes you'd think that size matters totally. So like these little endlers, some of these are full grown and they're not even an inch, the males. And they could easily be munched on by my big Danios or the cribs. But they seem to do just fine. There's enough of them and they're confusing enough, and nobody's desperate for food. And the worst that happens is they chase each other around a little bit. Okay. See you in a bit, Jess. Hello, Alex. I haven't caught you live before, but I watch your videos all the time, and I hope your recovery is going swift. Well, thank you, Wilbur. Do you have any questions? And everyone, let's welcome Wilbur. Happy to have you in the community. So I'm going to show you that weird Danio that nobody knows the species of. Like the distributor didn't know the species, but it's green and purple when it reflects, and then orange at the top, like iridescent. And then it's got these really subtle patterns of broken spots or chains. I'm trying to, let's see, we'll scoot the lights a bit and see if we can get things a little clearer. Let's see, how does that do? Well, it made the tank look dirtier because now all the bubbles are... Well, you can see how quickly my fish are moving. They'll think they're about to get fed. And you know what? Let's do that. But here's that Danio going back and forth. And it's got a long fin that's in the very far back. So if anybody knows for sure what the heck that Danio is, let me know. Ooh, could I safely keep Neocaridina with Celestius Chopra? Are you talking about Danio, the Chopra Danio, like, or are you talking about Bob? I thought it was a giant Danio or a mustache Danio at first, but I mean everybody's, including the fish store owner and the distributor, they're all like, no, it's not. We don't know what it is. But yeah, I'm stumped on it. Yeah, Daniel Chopra. So yeah, oh right, they did rename the genus. I know. Sorry guys, I can't keep track of all that sometimes. The Danios and the Brachiodanio and the what else have they monkeyed with? In any case, the stuff coming out of Myanmar, a lot of it was named way back when, just based on sight and cataloged by that. And now with DNA and other references, they're like, oh, that doesn't make any sense anymore. And so they've, since 2006-07, they've reopened the cases and really examined that. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is utilizing the layers in your tank. So you obviously have options when you're shopping for a tank. I mean, you can have something like one of these tanks over here. You're going to see my wife reading in the foreground. You have one of these tanks. You can have a 20 long that, you know, is probably this high here. Or you can get something like this, or you could get a crazy hex tank that's like 3 feet tall. and super narrow. And so I think that you can keep more aggressive fish in a tank like this. And this size or bigger is perfect. So 40 gallons or more with 24 inches of height is the perfect place to start for being able to have bizarre combinations of fish that don't kill each other. I have not had a single fish kill another fish in this tank, except for guppies killing other guppies when I had some really fancy guppies in here. But the two troublemakers are the two leopard danios. And so they haven't killed anybody, but they do chase, and I need to think about that and decide if I want to take them away. That being said, it's clear that this crazy mother, and I mean that, she's had babies, and she is a pregnant or egg-laden full woman that has way too much energy. She's got room to run. Like, she likes to just stay in the front glass area. But I mean, the tank, she has room to go back into the background, but she likes to hang out in this front glass area. But she just kind of pushes all my little fish into the corner, and they probably hate her. But yeah, so we've got those, and then the SAEs, who they don't eat little fish necessarily, but if you guys have owned a Siamese algae eater, aka flying foxes, one of these guys, not the Chinese ones, the Chinese ones are mean and they will eat your fish, but these guys who will get pretty big, this one is about 4, almost 5 inches right now, and he is really calm now that the puffers are here. That mellowed him out a ton. And I don't know what did that, if it was just that there was a rivalry and he just decided, like, you know what, I'll let you guys fight. But he's back to eating algae like a good boy or a girl or whatever. And the puffers let him into the territory because he's clearly way bigger. But here is the puffer den. If you can see it, they've actually cleared out a little den in here, a little hobbit's nest in the foliage, and that's where they go. They've got a U-shaped hollow in the planting. So I don't disturb that. I try not to cut below this level for that very reason. So your fish will tell you what they want and what they need, and then you can kind of work with that. But like, these guys are venturing out, and the ember tetras are kind of stuck, and they seem like they're sad. They're not out in the open water like they once were. So that tells me that what I probably need to do is get rid of this sight blocker and allow them to come out to see that the puffers aren't going to eat them. And that the only person who's going to bug them is this Danio. And I think I'm going to get rid of the leopard Danio, but this new crazy Danio, maybe it's a giant Danio, I don't know. But between the Danios, there's 5 species of Danios in here, and they're just like one-offs. So I know that's not good. That's not how you keep Danios. But I had raccoons eat all my Danios outside. And now, standing up here, this Danio, the new one, is green and orange and all sorts of iridescent, crazy colors come out. But these are fire Danios. There's actually, I think there's like 8 fire Danios hidden around here. But yes, this tank is what we would call overstocked, but I just watched the nitrates and watched the fish. And the only ones that I'm worried about right now are these ember tetras. They seem really scared, and I don't want any of my fish scared. So I think the solution for that is just going to be to move them to a calmer tank. But I love watching these puffers just move like they're little velociraptors or something. I'm trying to find you guys the cribs, because the cribs are bigger than anybody, bigger than the SAE even, and they are able to completely, I mean, they could completely beat up and or fit in their mouth most of the fish in this tank. They're not the little cribs, they're the big species. So let's see here. They're back under here in this cave work. I can see them in the dark, but you guys probably can't. But they're back there, and yet look at this. What do you see? Fry. So the cribs, they can have babies. I've had the actual tetras have babies in this tank. I've had the lemon tetras have babies, and the black neon tetras have babies in this tank, as well as the cribs. My ultimate goal and victory would be to have the puffers feel comfy enough to have babies. I would love that. So, enough of that tank. What other implausible tanks do we have? This one isn't too bad, but rainbow fish sometimes don't get along with with other fish, and the shrimp sometimes don't get along. I forgot to answer that question. So yeah, the Chopra or the day or the what is it? What are they called? Dayglow, or is it the Dayglow Danielle? Or I think that's what they're called. But in any case, the like glowfish, it's like a glow light. That's what it's called. Glow light Danios. The Chopras, they're a little more. Danios in general are a little more nippy. They are going to eat anything that fits in their mouth, theoretically. Now, if you have a group of them and lots of areas for things to hide, it'll probably be okay. With adult shrimp, it's probably no problem. But if you're trying to breed shrimp or have babies, that's not going to work out so hot. They're going to eat whatever they can find. So however many shrimp they can find and fit in their mouth, that's what will go in their mouth. Also, I wanted to point out that in this tank, the shrimp feel comfortable enough that they're up on top of the high point in the tank, the open space. This is another Pleco raise up tank. You can see I've got my supposedly short fin green Plecos, but these guys are long fin. Let's see here. Got it. Thanks. I'll stick with my Ember Tetras. Yeah, I feel you. So the other thing is that people don't think about, but if you've got a tank and you've got a pair of fish, male and female, that changes the dynamic completely. So I don't let certain fish ever think they can breed. So like, for instance, in the big tank, I forgot to mention that I have peacock, or is that what they're called? Peacock or rainbow gudgeons, and they are really beautiful. Let's see if I can find them right now. They're usually hiding right around here somewhere. But if they have a hole that is the size of my thumb or so to go into, they will make that area their little nest, and they will fight to the death anything that comes within 6 inches, no matter the size, even if that means that they're just going to get killed trying to aggravate whoever's coming to check out, their little area. So that is not a good situation, and you want to avoid that when you have combos of male and female. Also, this tank, it's not shrimp friendly. I've tried it a few times, but ever since I added, I'm sure the Pleco, or sorry guys, my mouth is not working with my brain as quickly as it should. I'm sure that the pea puffers they would take care of any shrimp as soon as they saw them. But the Danios, even the tetras, they're all shrimp eaters. They all love a little bit of shrimp on the bobby. So that's not going to go well. But as I said before, it's not just the size of the fish, because I'm growing up some random fry, and I just let whatever fry decides that it can, whatever animal laid eggs and hatched and survived in these spots that I have like this. That's a tangle so thick of pearlweed and Java moss and naja grass or guppy grass. You can kind of see down in here. It's so thick that you would think nothing could get through it, and no adult fish can, but the baby fish can hang out in there, and they're just totally happy about it. So you can see how many there are here. I need to pull them out though. Like, I need to pull out a number of fish just because there are a lot of fish producing nitrates in this tank. But with those big spotlights, it does produce a beautiful amount of plants. So this even without CO2, this tank will make beautiful orange, yellow, and green plants. Red is trickier. That you need iron, and the CO2 is kind of your friend, and you can't get around it too much, like this tank here. Now this tank here, we've got a few odd mixes as well. I'm putting the CO2 in at the moment, so hold on one sec. This tank's cold right now. It's like 74 or 73 degrees at the moment. Very cold. All right. So in this tank, we've got my teeniest of teeny, and you can see that the algae's coming back right now. We've got algae growing. You don't notice it from far away, but you see it when you're up close. You can see the little string. And what's happened today is I don't have any SAEs in here or anything along those lines anymore, and so I'll get something to pick at it, and all of a sudden they'll string the line across the place. But check this out, guys. I think this is just a black bar neon tetra or a black neon tetra, but let me know what you guys think. I'm assuming the egg was on plants that got moved into the tank. It's kind of a bluish color, but this little guy just appeared and looks very tetra-y, and I'm assuming that it's a baby tetra from the big tank. So we'll see. It looks like it may have like a cream colored belly, a black bar, and then like a bluish light. All right, let's see here. I'm doing bad at reading the comments. Hold on, guys. Pause says that his pea puffers are actually more friendly than some of the other fish. Yeah, no, it's all about giving them territory, breaking up lines of sight, giving them natural food, keeping them well fed, and then having a group of them large enough that their own species pecking order and that sort of stuff is what comes into play. So like, they don't need to go bug some other fish or play the game of, are you my mommy? They don't need to go out and try to find the meaning of life amongst the other fish. Not that that's what they think, but they don't need to do that. They just hang out with their group, and that's that. So I also wanted to show you, I've got the new shrimp in here. This one looks suspiciously dead. I hope it's not. Let's see. We'll find out when I tap on the glass. Nope, totally alive. So this is Malama Shrimp, and I put 8 of these guys in because they eat algae. They'll eat hair algae, and they will also eat black beard algae. I've seen it with my own eyes. Now, usually I would gravel vac here, and I would clean up these worms, and you can also see that there are planaria and other little, I don't know, creepy crawlies. But these guys will only eat live small food like crustaceans or plankton. They will not eat flake food, from my experience and from what a lot of people say online. And so it's also important to know how mature your tank is and make sure that your tank is mature enough for what's in it. So, like the shrimp, if you want to have shrimp in your tank, you can never throw food in your tank if it's like a 2-year-old tank that's running well and healthy. And that's just fine. But when it's a new tank, you're probably going to have to feed them shrimp food all the time. So we've got in here, here's that baby again. So let me know what you guys think in the comments or in the chat. Whoa, sorry guys. Here we've got an Aru2 Gertrude, Pseudomygale Gertrude Aru2 youngin, 3 months old. They're slow growers. That's probably one of the reasons why they're not big in the trade. The adults look like these folks here. There's a female and a male. There's the male here. But their fin displays are awesome and fun, and yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting some Pseudomygales if you have never owned them. They're also a good starting rainbow fish. Also, blue shrimp in here seem to be reproducing. I see more of them. And I've been feeding this tank. Oh, looks like we've got some more mini somethings. The other thing that keeps happening is a snail commits seppuku almost daily in this tank. He crawls out the top and then clunk, 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 rolls out, and he will try to make his way to that door and seal himself to the hardwood floor as a watertight chamber. And he's gonna die one of these days when he does it, but so far I've been able to catch him when he does it and save him. But you can see here up in the corner where I've got such dense matted, we've got enough of the moss and the finer leaf plants that there are actually several types of small fish in here. Let's see, where did that guy go? Right here. So we've got some fry here. We've got some other fry right up in here. And so, to me, this is a bit of a mystery. A lot of this stuff hatches when I'm playing musical plants with the plants in my tank. And the other kind of interesting thing in this tank is, so this is moss, but this was underneath the moss, or underneath the rock, and it started growing into a different form. It's kind of like, so plants, certain ones have, an underwater type, an above water type. So they have all different forms of themselves to suit themselves best for getting nutrients and things. And when in complete darkness, certain moss turns itself into almost like a bacopa feeling plant, really, really stiff. Also, the African fern starting to take root in here on the wood, pretty solid finally. The CPDs, the celestial pearls, they're all they're not afraid of anything. They're ready to take on the world. And my Odo Sinkless, doing good, munching away. What'd I pay it for? Okay, let's see. So, by the way, I see Paws talking about floating plants, and so floating plants are great for several reasons: for sucking out nitrates and for providing cover for fry. So see, these fry would probably like to be under the cover of the floating plants. Now, I don't want duckweed in this tank, but not much I can do about that right now. There's just lots of duckweed that keeps making its way into the tank, and I keep fighting it back manually. There is a little trick that I'll probably save for another episode, but it works in less planted tanks where you kind of basically you have an overflow spout and you allow a current to flow, and you have a hose running into it of treated water through a siphon, and you allow the overflow to spill out and take care of anything floating on top. But a lot of fry and things like that will also get in there, so you want to have a bucket or a container to sort it out afterwards. But basically, if you filled this tank up right now, you'd get a lot of this stuff, a lot of this duckweed and stuff to just spill right over the edge, which is handy. But it'll hide in your filter, it'll hide other places. I did decide to put a couple more of my male endlers in here just for safekeeping, my favorite ones from Lucas Bretz. And we've got the Malama Shrimp. I don't know where they're at, but we've got the red band shrimp from Flip Aquatics. And then from Aquatic Arts, we also have some bolt shrimp and a few other little oddballs. So I love this tank. You can stare at it for literally hours. And the best part of my memory loss from getting hit by the lightning is that I forget that I hid something in here. Like, oh yeah, I had that plant that was, it's under a rock, that Bucephalandra, and I moved the rock, and all of a sudden I've got this beautiful chunk of Bucephalandra. Right now I'm fighting, just as we're sitting here and looking at it, I'm fighting this not hornwort, but there's a little bit of blackbeard algae in a clump there. And then there's also the one that I really don't like, is the green hair algae, slimy stuff. But it seems to come and go. Usually when I dose my nutrients and fertilizers for the week, I've tried doing small doses every day, and then I just have it all the time. And so for me, in this tank, only this tank, the answer has been to dose sparingly, so like once a week, and that prevents a lot of problems. But then there's this other kind of algae that is a pain in the butt. Maybe you can see that. And I'm not even going to try to salvage that moss. It can just go in a potted plant and hopefully grow. And the algae will die. Okay, so let me catch up on these. I'll flip you around so you can see me. Let me catch up. Whoa, that's dark. We'll get some light. Let's lighten things up, folks. Don't need to be so heavy. Okay. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm catching up on comments tonight. I'm having a slow time mentally. I just got here, so I just got 2 pea puffers today, and I was wondering if I can add more. Yeah. Add pea puffers like groups. Pea puffers are a social animal. In the wild, they're in giant swarms or schools of them. So add as many as your tank allows, and go online and kind of see what that says. People say that you need like 5 gallons per pea puffer. I've found that to actually be not the case at all, especially if your tank is really planted. They seem to be just fine, and actually they'll reproduce. I've seen it, I've done it. So little tetras I ran across, I bought at Petco, turned out to be Moencahysia. Coste? I don't know that one. The black neon tetra. Oh, with the black neon tetras. I got 6 and love them. Never heard or saw. Bob, do you have a picture of that you could share in the Facebook group? Because that would be rad. I would enjoy seeing those. Doo, doo, doo. Oh boy. Flooding going on, huh? Well, be safe, you guys, with the hurricanes and stuff. That's no joke. Get out of there. Your life is not, something to toy with. Tank still applies. The previous people already have established who's the boss and the rival. That's true, pause. But sometimes pea puffers will shake up and try to decide who's the boss again. It changes, it's fluid. But pea puffers, they fight hard and quick about that, and then it's done, and you'll probably miss it. I was told I can only have 2 pea puffers in a tank. No, that's not true. In fact, that seems like a recipe to have unhappy pea puffers. Unless your tank's like 5 gallons, then you shouldn't have any pea puffers in there, probably. But if you do, I would honestly have 3 and just keep your water parameters very closely watched. Look for nitrates being high and plant the heck out of that tank if it's 3 puffers in a 5 gallon. I mean, you could do probably, in theory, you could probably keep alive and grumpy 20 pea puffers in a 5 gallon if you knew what you were doing, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea. The Cove, hey, what's up, man? Boost, yeah, Boost is very expensive. I have to ask, we get to see a couple snails get eaten by your puffer. Love your work. Keep it up. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. These pea puffers, I just put a video out of them eating bloodworms. So go back to the channel and check that out. Hold on real quick. My asthma's acting up. So, a few nights ago, we fed the pea puffers bloodworms and watched them fight between the tetras and themselves over it. It was kind of entertaining while I'm talking about bloodworm history and facts and stuff. So check that out. Hopefully I don't lose you guys while we're coming down to the fish room. Sometimes on the weekends especially, it'll get a bit bogged down. Oh, this room's hot. Okay. Mark, I wish I could feed them some snails right now, though, because they're fun to watch. But the little pea puffers, they don't eat snails like the big guys, like if you've seen on Aquarium Co-op or things like that. They actually eat snails a little bit more. Bash at them, like they'll get them on a rock and they'll smack them with their teeth, and at least mine do. And thank you, Betsy. And they'll smack them with their teeth and get them out. So check that out. It looks like the skeleton of a fish, but that's a zucchini that was in there last night. And in here we have my L183s. There's 4 of them in there. And they're pretty much full grown, which is pretty crazy because these little plecos they're pretty peaceful, and they're only about 3 or 4 inches long, fully grown. In here, just guppies. Lots of yuppie guppies that are pregnant, and some that are upstairs. Nothing too weird about the combos in there. Up here, shrimp are the only weird combo in that this tank I use for breeding miscellaneous stuff, and it has sections. But there's nothing in here that's that weird other than the fact that I have shrimp that are reproducing successfully with such limited hiding spots. So that is a bit interesting. Lucky. I cannot for the life of me get my pea puffers to eat anything unless it is alive and moving. Yeah, that is a problem, definitely, especially, well, a lot of them are, most of them are wild caught pea puffers. That makes it tricky. What I suggest is you get something like, you know, a little treat pellet of some sort that'll sink, like something like this, even though that's for bottom feeders, but something for just general whatever tropical fish. And if you can find some sort of treat and then wrap that in like a bloodworm, try that, or try giving them frozen bloodworms and see if they'll go for that. A lot of times what I do is I have a power head running up in that tank upstairs, and I will just take these tongs and I'll go like this, and so when they see it, it almost looks like they're swimming. And if they get past them though, some of the puffers won't eat them. So yeah. Mark, oh, well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. JH, what's up, man? How's it going? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Another thing, here are my green dragon Pleco. The big boy is in here, as he always is, under the rock. Oh, this is kind of cool. So look at this. This is how the big boy eats. He hates seeds in the zucchini, and so he just scrapes, and you can actually see how big his like mouthpiece is. You can see that channel of several scrapes. But that piece was pinned down like this one. And now I'm just letting the shrimp and the snails and the baby plecos have at. But the other fish that's in here that really needs more food and feeding, like special care, are the, so we've got the Julia Corridoris in here. But another odd combo is we have Tatia Mosaic, the ones that look like miniature orcas. I have lots of videos on them if you want to see them. But they eat like a peacock bass. They come to the top in this tank only at night after 2 in the morning or so. And they slam. And they have venom glands. And they're just mean. So they're probably hiding somewhere. But I give them places to hide. And then the other thing is, so plecos, this is a 20 long, and there's several adult plecos in there, which seems like a lot, plus like a dozen Julia Corridoras. So I keep catappa leaves in here, which are good antibacterial, anti-infectant, and then I like to have these floating water lettuce. Are you guys there? Are you guys there? We might lose you, but I was saying, yeah, Bob, have you tried feeding them Amazon, your Amazon puffers? Have you tried feeding them bloodworms, or using a little power head, like the little pumps, and holding it on in between tongs and like kind of faking the motion like they're swimming? That's all I've been successful with on my picky fish. But I hate to say it, the Tatia Mosaicas, they weren't the ones that I was about to kind of show you guys. They weren't eating at all for a little bit, and they're pretty well. How long do you make them wait to eat? Um, oh, I make them wait. I don't know till they'll till they'll eat it. I'll give them a try several times. But these are just yarn in here, but they work really well in this tank for some reason. Uh, just plants mixed with yarn, and I get baby cories out of this. But what I there we go. Here's the Tatia Mosaicas. So they're docile in the day, docile, but they are meaner than all get out at night, and they can move quick. I mean, they're built like a little shark. So if I move all this back, yeah, I mean, fish, if you guys are asking about trying to transition fish to, oh, here's the female green dragon. I thought she was unhealthy, the modeling, but she actually does it when she wants to mate. So she's ready to mate again. She's coloring up, as they say, which is kind of interesting. But, yeah, one sec. I was going to tell you guys about if you're keeping water, it's always cool to watch too, the natural repellent they have to water. It'll spring up and yep, there we go, into one ball. I love how it does that. But these plants, they grow well, they suck a lot of nitrates out, and when you have plecos, they eat a lot of food, they poop a lot, and so it's good to have plants that can suck nitrates out pretty well. So what I do is I let these water lettuce get to about this size, and then I will move those or throw them away or sell them for, $3 or $5 or whatever for a bundle. And then I use like 5 or 6 of these again and repeat the process, or like one this size. If you see, my hand is this size, and you can see all the baby fry in that tank. There's fry in all my tanks right now. So I want to show you guys this tank, but I have to do a little jujitsu, and I'm going to lose you for a sec, but I'll be right back, I promise. There's some odd combos of fishies in here. Down the wormhole, what up? Yeah, don't be mean to Betsy. By the way, Movie Man 174, just be cool, man. Let's all get along. We don't need any name calling or questioning other people's skills right now. There are people who are probably silently watching that can crush all of our skills, my skills, that have years of experience. So let's not throw around issues like that. So, all right. As long as we're not name calling or saying someone doesn't know how to keep fish or whatever it may be that's going on. So, I'll be right back. I gotta turn the light on in this tank, but I gotta do it with my phone, and it literally won't let me do it. So, hold your breath. Alright, I'm back. Am I back? Can you guys hear me? But I'm back in the New York groove. Okay, so in this tank, I do have some new. Oh, you know what's sad is these from LRB from Lucas, my German tuxedo guppies that were going to be the only guppies I was growing in this tank. One of them did a free willy and decided that she was going to leave the tank. And she did. And that didn't turn out too well for her. So, yeah. So that's sad, because now I can't breed them. But, yeah. Yes, Jess, I agree. Duckweed is the worst. Alright. So, in this tank, we're going to have baby swordtails and platies very shortly. Those will probably get nibbled on by their parents. So my goal soon will be to have lots of stuff like this. Also going on in this tank here, the blue gouramis, the females, they can cause some problems. They can be nippy nibblers. And we got some longfin green dragon plecos here. We've got the boy. Check out these odontodes. They're cool. He's got some pretty gnarly ones, like 3 or 4 of them. I always find it really interesting when you look at a pleco's belly. They have very odd bellies and gills. Kind of gross, kind of awesome. But you can also see all their ability to scour surfaces, and you can see how they're holding on, and then you can see their little 4 bony pads that they kind of scrape with. Alright, sorry guys, I was just reading the chats. So, yeah, this Pleco's belly is just kind of gross to look at to me. But I look at my Pleco's bellies because they've been doing this thing, and I figured out why they were doing it, and it was my fault, and I felt like a bad fish dad. Bad dad was they were eating ram's horn snails, like these ones. And they're Plecos. They're bristlenose plecos. They're not like meat-eating plecos like zebras or you know, like some of the other ones, like the royals or the pinoc. So I was like, why are they eating them? And you could see the snail in their gut. You could actually see it perfectly. Like it looked just like a snail in their gut. And so I was really worried about that, and it actually, I should have been, because I had one die. This happened a while back. Betsy knows about it. Betsy saw pictures, but I never shared it with all of y'all because of how graphic it was. I cut it open just to confirm, like autopsy style, that that's what had happened. And yep, that's what had happened. And why would a peaceful, omnivorous pleco decide to eat a hard-to-eat snail when they're ill-equipped to do the task other than just eating it whole? Well, it's because their diet wasn't complete. They were lacking something. And for them, it was like fish, or sorry, not fish, brain fart. They were lacking like bloodworms or some sort of actual protein, and so had to get them that. Yep. So got them some bloodworms in the mix, and no more snail nibbling. Now, here's another interesting one. This is a Tinwinnie Danio. I love them. They're probably my favorite common Danio, as far as like just one you can get a hold of anywhere. But he's looking skinny, right, guys? So now I've realized that one of the plants that I got definitely came in with something. I've gotten a lot of free cool plants, but sometimes there's a little bit of water from the bag, and I don't always quarantine, and you'd think I'd learned my lesson, but I haven't because I'm a dum-dum. But I think I introduced a parasite because these guys look way too skinny for where they should be weight wise. And I feed them. Let's feed them now. Also, by the way, I added two honey sunset gouramis to the mix. I thought that they would fight with the blue gouramis. Not a problem whatsoever. I was totally holding my breath and thinking I'm going to have to move these guys in a minute, but they all get along great. So yeah, so there's that. So we've got flake food in the tank now. Yeah, brine shrimp are another good one, Keith, for your bristle nose. They do need some sort of meat or protein. Karen, guppies, have a good night. I'm glad that you think this info is useful. Sorry it's kind of a boring live stream, but just chatting away with y'all and want to make myself available in case anybody has problems or questions. Yeah, so I have in this 40, which the way I've set it up, it's not necessarily a broken line of sight. In fact, it's a very open line of sight. But it's a hard line to zip through. Like, you're going to smack yourself on something as a fish, usually, if you're chasing. Like, one of them has to break off the chase. But nobody uses this strip up here. Like, probably from the edge of that filter, or even the center of that filter over, hardly any fish hang out there. They all love this bottom, deeper area. And so anything from fry to my pandagaras and my some of my younger fish, they all know that and notice it and hang out up there. My pencil fish sometimes are up there. And so that's kind of just nice. I didn't know that that would happen if I set this tank up this way, but it has, and it's also a great place for Bucephalandra, that kind of stuff, chilling in here. Here's another Pleco. This one just swam in. This is the other male in the tank. Just put a Pleco cave in, so we'll see if they use it. But usually they like more, what's the word? Like natural, cavernish, like areas that they can dig out and customize. So if you have a Pleco cave, I always think it helps to put some like soil or gravel or something near it to allow for them to customize their little cave. I wish you guys could see the real color here. Maybe you can from a certain angle. I don't know. Let's see here. There we go. Closer. But this guy is like lemon yellow. And he looks so pretty. These sunset honey gouramis look so pretty against the red. And of course that looks pink, but it's actually like blood red. You can see closer through the top of the water. And I actually haven't seen my Pandagara in here for 3 days. That's worrying. But I've poked around and I can't find a body or anything either, so I have no idea what's going on. And that always makes me nervous, but I've learned too many times. I've ripped apart I've ripped apart a lot of tanks. What about earthworms for a 6-inch common Pleco? Yeah, give it a shot. Why not? I wouldn't see why that would be an issue. I mean, even little fish will pick at earthworms. Let's see here. Good night, Wilbur. Take care. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing okay with, the flooding and hurricaning. Jeez. Up here, this is the Nymphea micrantha. You can see, like, the colors look all off because of the filter on the light right now. Also, these hatchet Daniels, they're zipping around. They're really happy in this long tank. They just didn't have that downstairs or upstairs in any of the tanks, and down here they've got a lot of that. There's the female golden sunset honey gourami, And then the male is, of course, the rad red. And there's still a few baby plecos in this tank too. There's these little, I've got my band of merry panda Corydoras trying to ruin my life I just planted some, I just planted a good amount of glosso and also baby tears, and of course, what do? They rip it up and eat it. So, go figure. Such is life. This is a plant I forget the name of. It might be Creeping Charlie, but yeah, see, there they go, ripping it all up. Thanks, guys. Especially the babies. They love it. But this plant, I really like the way it's growing. It grows like glosso or crypt at the start, and then it goes up like a hydrocotyl that you can train. And then you can have it go back into the ground, and then you can trim it, but it does send up these funky runners, so you got to be careful. Also, the butterfly is doing well, the red butterfly. The red tiger crypt is doing really well. The black and red one is doing phenomenal. And hopefully I'll be able to sell some more plants out of this tank. Oh, there you can see the yellow in the fishy. Hopefully I'll be able to sell some more plants out of my collection. I think I was writing down all the species, and this place is a mess, of course. As always, in here we have some fry and stuff, and some just plants that are immersed, like Japanese pennywort. But I was thinking about selling plants a little more intensively since I don't have a job. I'm going to be applying and everything to disability. My doctors want me to, and I've just put it off because I feel like such a what's the word, a leech or something, being on disability, but I know that's not true. I've paid into it. Let's see here. Reading stuff. Can you keep plecos in a 29 community with shrimp? You could, yeah. I mean, there, and there. They're all in with shrimp. Let's see. Can we find a shrimpy? But you just, you don't want like just a plain old pleco necessarily. That's like just a huge fish, like that your tank's not going to hold it. Whereas these guys, this pair of bristlenose that I have, these green dragons, they're like 20 years old. Like they're way, way older than they should be. But a club member gave them to me, and they've had them forever, and they've bred forever, but the female is slowing down. But they're like record breaking. They've had them since like the 90s, I think, 99 or something they got them. So, yes, you can keep shrimp and plecos in a 29 or a 20 or probably a 15, really. It just depends on what that pleco is, what its needs are, and if you've got enough hides for the shrimp. Let's see here. What brand food do I feed this tank? I feed brand-wise. I'm not for sure like a devoted I only use this or that, but I do actually really like the Aquarium tropical flakes for the cheap old flakes. I do like the Bug Bites bottom feeder or the bottom scratcher if you're gonna make rapashi or something expensive. For my shrimp, I know what they like. They love crab cuisine by Hikari. Like, that's what they want all day, every day. But I don't know if that's good for them necessarily when I look what's in it. Uh, but I try to keep giving them vegetables, my shrimp and my plecos and all my fish. They all eat the algae that's in their tanks. They all eat, beans or zucchini or cucumbers, things like that. So, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and this is where it's at. Sarah, I like their tropical granules. Those are good. Keep color well. Pretty much anything with a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. Do a nice job of keeping your fish bright. And then anything with beta carotene and what's the other stuff? Shoot, I can't remember right now. I'll tell you later. But it's good for the red stuff. Alex, aren't you going to... Oh, thanks, Jess. Mr. Movie Man, if I could make aquariums a job... Sure, but I can't. I have an hour or two of stamina at a time, and then I rest for 3 or 4 hours, honestly. Insight, fish keeping, you have a great night, sir. Take it easy. All my shrimp go nuts for LRB. Yeah. Tetracolor tropical granules, they like that stuff. Especially if they're, Lucas's fish or shrimp, because that's what he feeds everything. He feeds like all the fry. He's just like, smash it up. And I think that works fine. Like, I think a lot of things work just fine. Most foods will get you by, like, as long as they're not like the bottom of the barrel foods. Most of them will get you by. It'll be okay. Also, I was going to note that these gals are all boxy and they are ready to have babies from these males, which are... So everybody get ready for lots of baby leertail, platies and or swordtail hybrids. But she's ready to have 20 babies right now, like tonight. We'll see what happens. And this one also. So I think that's a good strategy for them. See, this is the most aggressive I've seen the gouramis get towards each other. That was about it. That was pretty chill. And then the Cories seem to know. The Corridora pandas, they all kind of hang together. There's a group of 10 of them or 12 of them. See them? They're the ones digging up my Glosso, jerks. And then the other guys here are hanging out with their own kinfolks. So, alright guys, I am losing steam very quickly. And I think I'm going to call it a night. But thanks for tuning in. These are always nice. I know we don't always cover, the most educationally dense or thrilling stuff in these. But hopefully I illuminate a little bit of information for you guys in these and answer some questions, and we can all kind of chat. And, that's kind of the idea. So, let's see. I'm reading comments. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Jess, thank you. Everybody in the way of the hurricane, please stay safe. Get that air, the battery-powered air oxygenator, or if nothing else, you could get some bellows and just some cord, or you could just blow into it, and that would be like injecting CO2 into your tank also. Yeah, JH, please take care of yourself. It would, I mean, I love you, but it'd sure be a shame if those little blue tetras got hurt in the hurricane. Uh, please, please, please be safe. Get to safer ground. As much as I know you like your fish and want to take care of them, leave them if you have to. Life is too short. Oh, you didn't get the blue tetras? I thought that's what you were bringing home. I'll have to talk to Dean in person and try to get some. You did get 4 other species. All right, we'll have to check it out. Yeah, let us know how you're doing, JH. That would be really good. As you guys can probably see under my eyes, I'm starting to really fade. And I'm gonna go rest now, but thank you so much for watching. Please be sure. Oh, great! You have an unboxing video for tomorrow. Sweet. I haven't watched your videos from today yet either, JH, so I need to do that, and I'm sure they'll be great as always. The other thing I was gonna tell you is the AGA, the Aquatic Gardener Association, is going to be in Seattle in 2019, and we're going to need an aquascaping team. And so I'm thinking some YouTubers, JH Lucas. I'm thinking if maybe someone wants to put something together, I'll probably be on the local GSAS, that's Seattle's Aquarium Club. I'll probably be on the board between like trying to organize stuff between what we can do to help AGA and host them. And so I can probably almost guarantee that we could get a slot for a big tank with like a 3 or 4 person setup. So just something to think about. I'm definitely going to enter solo because I'm really excited that AGA is finally coming to Seattle. Can you breed Barraras in a 2.5 gallon? I would not. Probably can though, but I would not. I'd go with a 5 or more, some peat moss, and what else? Some top coverage, low water, stuff like that. Alright guys, I'm spent. If you have more questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get to them. My eyes are starting to close. This one's starting to swell. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share. Maybe don't share this. Share another video that you like on the back, on my playlists or somewhere in the back catalog. There's like 200 videos now, so probably something that'll tickle your fancy. And I will talk to y'all later. Have a great night. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm sure.